Cooking safely, yes. Right, yeah. That's my final answer. Cooking safely. I'm terrible.
I am a straight donation station in Jupiter.
If you're low on cash, call Saw him.
Give us a moment, FP. Give us a moment. Right in the middle. What a birdie.
Go, squeeze.
Can we just please stop saying this a moment ago?
Subtle signs that you're playing with a stick.
A bag? You want me to be intimidated by a fucking bag?
What is up, dogs? We are so damn live. We are
super live.
We're so live. We are in the Scottsdale sun. We are here at the WM Phoenix Open. It's been a hot one. It's been a sweaty one.
Man,
I've used plenty of dude wipes today. I would say of all of the days that I've been out traveling over these last 3 weeks, dude wipes has been the most dude wipes have been consumed today. I don't know if consumed is the right word. Used, yeah,
and then discarded appropriately here at the WM Phoenix Open.
You know how we like to do it. What a day, man! What a day. This was a bit of a bucket list day for young Dan. We did interviews with Matt Fitzpatrick, which we got for you later on the show. We also have an interview that and this is a bold call, and I don't shy away from bold calls. I think we have our best interview ever with Billy Foster, a legendary caddy who has caddied for Seve Ballesteros. He had a week with Tiger Woods, Thomas Bjorn, Darren Clark, Lee Westwood. Finally won his major with Matt Fitzpatrick. He's got this incredible Yorkshire Leeds accent. He's an incredible listen. He does a lot of speaking gigs, so he's like a pro at this. And then maybe the coolest one hole width we've ever done.
Yeah, big one.
We got Jordan Spieth on one hole width that will be dropping sometime later this week. It was actually kind of my first time ever really talking to Jordan.
Yeah.
So I was a little, most of the guys I have some sort of a relationship with out here. Jordan, not so much. Nothing, like it just hadn't happened. But that was a little bit of a pinch me moment. And you were saying to me, like, I don't say that to you very often.
You've never said it to me, and actually you didn't seem shook at all. It was impressive.
It was awesome. So, when I started doing this, Jordan Spieth was the golden child. He still is. And he's only 1 year older than me, which is kind of a strange, like, human experience.
I know.
Because I was talking to him, and I said, oh, you're born in 92. He's like, 93. I was like, we are basically the same age. You have accomplished a hell of a lot more than I have. But, yeah.
We're getting to the age where we're older than most great pro athletes, where, like, you grew up looking up to guys, and now you're looking up to people that
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Yeah, you're 36. I'm only 31. So there's still, Bruno Fernandes, who's the captain of Manchester United, where he's a little bit older than me. So as long as he's still balling like he is for the famous Manchester United.
But like Colin Morikawa is 29.
Yeah.
I learned that today. I thought he was a little older than that.
Turning 29 on Friday. Yeah, no, everyone's, what they say is like about high school girls, you keep getting older, they keep staying the same age.
The best golfers in the world keep staying the same age.
Keep staying the same age. So do we want to talk about the casting vote results, or do we not?
We should. At first, this is the Dan on Golf Show presented by Knockaround.
Dan on Golf Show presented by Knockaround. I forgot to say that. We're always
wearing our panoramas.
I'm always wearing the panoramas. Yeah, I mean, look, we did our casting for the hypothetical PGA Tour Live show, and the results are in. Miami-Dade County, we don't need to see any more.
There's 2 days left on the poll.
The decision desk is making a decision.
I can't campaign for 48 hours?
We are projecting Dan Rappaport as the winner of the 2026 PGA Tour Live hypothetical movie casting, and I want to say it's close. I want to say it's close. It wasn't close. It was like a congressional race, and I'm the incumbent who's been in office for 25 years in rural Georgia, and you had your ideas about free this, free that, but you came up against the incumbent.
Are you calling me Mamdani?
I'm just saying you came up against the incumbent.
First of all, I'm storming the Capitol on June 6th.
Okay.
Second of all, I refuse to call this race this early.
No, the race is called.
You made the poll for 3 days.
72% for Dan, 28% for Ben.
1 out of every 4 are picking me, and that could go up. There's still time.
Okay.
As we know, our content lives for more than 1 day.
That's right.
So I'm not done campaigning, peeps. Okay.
We're ready for the chaos to start. It's strange the tournament hasn't started yet because you go to a lot of these tour events on Tuesday, Wednesday, which is when we typically go. I've told you guys before. Typically, how it works: we do the show in LA on Monday, and then we get our ass to the airport, and we film stuff Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we typically go home before the tournament starts, so we can try to maintain our home lives. And usually, it's very quiet. Tuesday and Wednesday is typically a very quiet day. Not so much today. It was a scene. We were set up here for the interviews. You'll see when we do the interview with Fitzy, it was done right here, and all the tour pros walking by. But then also, the Pro-Am was stacked today.
Oh yeah,
Mookie Betts.
I heard Mookie Betts was out in the field.
Travis Kelce. There was a rumor that Taylor Swift is here, which is, like bingo card. If Travis Kelce is there, then there's a rumor that Taylor Swift is there, and she's never there. I remember a couple years ago at the Masters, Taylor Swift is there. Taylor Swift is not there.
No.
Taylor Swift is just not there.
She's not here.
She's not here.
But he threw a dart on 16, allegedly.
I saw that. I think he I didn't know he had golf game, but I'm not surprised. Alex Bush would be quick to remind us that he has all the time in the world because they didn't make the playoffs this year. Chiefs. You know that.
You like to remind us of that.
So, we did some interviews earlier in the day. I was kind of running around, but, I think we're making a little bit of progress with Scottie Scheffler. So, in the intro of our show is, the cooking safely bit, which was one of our best bits from season 1 from last year. And I got a chance to ask him a question today. I was talking to a lot of people about Justin Rose today because, what he's doing. I didn't realize that he's number 3 in the world until after the tournament. That's an incredible achievement at the age of 45. And so I asked Scottie Scheffler his perspective on it. Here is my little Q&A with Scottie Scheffler. Not sure if you caught any of Justin Rose's kind of dominating performance last week at Torrey Pines, but now we've got the top 3 players in the world. One is in their 20s, one is in their 30s, and one is pretty deep into their 40s. What do you make of a guy at the age of 45 being right up there with the younger guys?
Yeah, I think when you look at Justin specifically, I think you see a guy that not only works really hard on his golf game and has for a long time, he also works really hard on his body. And it's something that, for me, I look at a guy like that at 45 years old to be in the shape that he still is in is extremely impressive. And I don't think you just luck into that. I think he puts a lot of work into that. And, I think it's inspiring for the young guys to see somebody at that age still be able to do the things that he does. And I'm 29 and I feel tired already at 29. I can't imagine what I'm going to feel like at 45. So I can't say enough about how impressive it is for him to be still putting up the scores and even the ball speeds. He's almost keeping up with me when we were playing in Palm Springs. So guy's got plenty of speed and plenty of talent and obviously plenty of work ethic as well to go with it. So I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon.
Almost keeping up with you though.
Almost.
Look, I think we're making progress with Scottie Scheffler. I think it's pretty clear to say.
I walked out of the media center and heard him answering that question from you. I had a little chuckle.
It was a good one.
It's a good question.
Sometimes I think, do I want to do the follow-up? Do I want to do the follow-up? I decided to do the follow-up this time, and it was good. So we've made our one-and-done pick for the week. It's Brooks Koepka. I actually submitted this one, which is progress.
Yeah.
Last week, we had the one-and-done gate, the famous one-and-done debacle of January 2026 when we picked Jake Knapp live on the show, and I forgot to submit it. And he finished 5th in the tournament. And I texted our friends at Splash Sports and I said, there's video evidence, and they said it's literally illegal. We cannot do anything about this. And hopefully it's one of those mistakes that you make once and never again.
We'll still be showing actualized standings every week.
We're solo 185th.
We're going to do our own accounting.
The haters want you to believe that we're 750th. We are solo 185th.
Yeah, we're
so
high.
Our pick this week is Mr. Brooks Koepka. I said last week that I thought he was going to make a run at the WM Phoenix Open. I maintain that. He's won here twice, I believe. And, not just because there's music playing, so I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. That was a live joke.
Hey.
But I just think he got it. I think he got the jitters out last week. I think he was naturally a little bit tail between his legs. He didn't know how all those conversations were going to go with the players, he said he didn't know any of the players that were in the field. It was just like a first day of school, a little bit of jitters. And he made the cut, played 4 rounds, putted like a blind rhinoceros. But he hit the ball very well. So I think that Brooks is a good pick this week. I'm feeling good about it. And here he is talking about his approach to the week. Here's Brooks Koepka.
What is it about? Is it the course? Is it the environment? Is it some of both that makes you comfortable here?
Probably a bit of both. Golf course suits my eye. Off the tee, it really does. And then everything about this place, it's always in great shape. It's a fun tournament to play. I enjoy, I said it earlier, I think last week, I enjoy the chaos. It's a bit, it's fun and kind of get you in between shots, give you something to either kind of laugh at or whatever's going on. There's always something to see. But yeah, it's a fun week.
To me, Ben, that looks like the guy who's going to win the golf tournament.
Looks like a comfortable man.
He's a comfortable man. He's back in familiar settings here in Scottsdale.
I wanted to ask you, I felt like last week we talked about it from a broadcast point of view, but I think a feeling I had, I felt like I was watching Tiger play at a tournament that, after an injury, like he hadn't played for a long time.
And the fact that they were showing every single one of his shots?
Outside of the broadcast, though, I was interested. The only difference is, and it's why I think he is a good pick this week, is that Tiger was barely making the cut in those moments, which he also did. He finished fine.
Yeah.
and he's Brooks Koepka. He's young. His body hasn't been great to him.
No,
but he's not done.
better than Tiger's body for sure.
Correct.
No, listen. There's a lot of good golf left in Brooks Koepka. I made the mistake of sort of counting him out before 2023, before he won that 5th major championship, the PGA Championship in Alex Bush's backyard in Oak Hill in Rochester, New York. But I'm a believer in Brooks. I think he's box office. I think he's got a new sort of outlook on life that I'm going to take at face value until I see any evidence of, it's like the Kanye situation, right?
He sounds different. I'm
not equating Brooks to Kanye, just to make that clear.
No, but everybody, deserves a second chance. He's getting a second chance.
Yeah, and everyone seems to be happy that he's out here. They were asking Victor Hovland about it earlier this week, and he said, these guys are good for the tour, and I kind of saw that, and then I went back to my business.
You don't get the back nine Travis Kelce pairing on the Pro-Am if you're not a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Brooks is definitely box office. Man, it has been a scorcher out here today. It's like 83 degrees. We've been baking in the sun, but I'm actually feeling okay. My eyes feel great. You want to know why? Because of these knockaround panoramas. Knockaround are the best sunglasses in the game. I've been telling you guys, and I don't lie to you guys. I don't do it. The best quality you could possibly ever find for the price. These are the same quality, if not better, than sunglasses that cost 5-10 times the price. And we have a promo code for you guys. So if you go to knockaround.com/golf, you can see all of the different golf sunglasses. They have plenty of options. I was in the merch tent. Knockarounds everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Flying off the shelves. If you use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off your first order, which I think brings these sunglasses around $30, which I am not the kindest to my sunglasses. I throw them in my bag. I get my sweaty hands all over them, and they're great. They're perfect. So go to Knockaround and buy a couple pairs. Buy a couple pairs with that discount for the same price, probably less than you would the other guys.
I got a shipment of 6 on the way to my house right now. I can't wait to get back to LA and open those boxes.
The best sunglasses in the game. So we got our first interview coming up. This is with Matt Fitzpatrick, who obviously I go way back with. We went to Northwestern together in the cup of coffee that he was there. He stayed 3 months. I was there 4 years. But, Matt and I have gone, we go way back. I remember when he was playing the Challenge Tour, I would text him and, you finding something to eat in Kazakhstan, stuff like that. And it's been really fun for me to watch him blossom into the, absolutely world-class player that he is. So without further ado, here is 2022 U.S. Open champion, Matt Fitzpatrick. All right, we are joined by an old friend, Matt Fitzpatrick. Friend of, I think, first appearance on the Dan on Golf show, though.
Yeah.
We've done this on my previous stops, but it's nice to, you keep saying yes, so I appreciate it.
Different. Yeah.
I'd like to ask everyone this question to start off. What is the state of Matt Fitzpatrick's game? I mean, you ended the year with an incredible victory, 3rd time winning that tournament. That's kind of your playground. Mm-hmm. Beat a decent player in a playoff by the name of Rory McIlroy. T63 and Amex to start the year. Where are we at?
Yeah, I actually played okay at the Amex. It was just 2-3 holes on Sunday just cost me, and obviously the score in there. It's unless you're 5 under, you're losing ground. So just started poorly and then never really kind of recovered on Sunday. But yeah, played pretty solid. Happy with where everything's at, and looking forward to this week.
Do you agree with John Rahm? He famously said, "Piece of shit fucking setup putting contest week."
At the Amex, didn't he win it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting. I mean, I'm not agreeing with the curse in there. I'm sure there's kids that watch this.
I don't think so.
But it's the first time I played it. I liked it more than I thought I would. Low scoring's never been something that I've been a big fan of, but I liked the golf course and enjoyed the week.
So I wanted to ask you about that victory over Rory McIlroy. When you're playing in a playoff over Rory McIlroy, I know you guys. I mean, you've been partners in the Ryder Cup. You guys had an incredible victory. Do you guys talk at all? Like, what is the vibe like on the tee?
No, we didn't talk in the playoff. I think because I hit it left and he hit it right, so we kind of went our separate ways. But I was just talking to Dan throughout the whole playoff. Me and Rory had a bit of a laugh before the playoff. He was laughing. I said, "Oh, come on, you can't be tired. We've got a few more holes to play." He said, and he laughed. He said, "Oh, hopefully only one." And when we did finish the playoff, he did laugh. He said, "Well, yeah, it was only one. Just went the wrong way." So during the playoff, obviously, we're kind of in our own world, and we had a bit of a laugh before.
An interesting year for you. I mean, that was maybe the most prolonged struggle of your career, I would say, in the first half. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And you were completely off the radar for the Ryder Cup. And then you played your way in. I know you made a tough decision to kind of see a new swing coach for the first time in a really long time. I mean, what switched? Because I know you're so meticulous with your practice. Was it something that you saw in practice that you weren't able to take to the course? Or how do you sort of explain the dichotomy of last year?
Yeah, I wasn't hitting my... I wasn't doing anything well, really, at the start of the year. I was actually driving it okay. Outside of that, nothing else. I wasn't putting well, which is normally a strength. Short game wasn't good, and then irons have always been probably the weakest part of my game, and they just weren't great at all. So, obviously got to the point, particularly with elevated events this year and nowadays, and being in the top 50 is so important. So, obviously wanted to try and figure it out sooner rather than later, give myself a chance of getting that top 50, and just from a technical standpoint, just changed a fair amount, and kind of just managed to kick on basically from kind of May onwards, really.
Is it hard for you as a guy who is so analytical and is so technical to make those significant changes, like to trust that?
No, it was pretty straightforward in what Mark was telling me to do.
Is that left foot thing that you've been doing?
Yeah, so like a little bit more. I needed a little bit more push off my left. I was a little bit too lateral, so I needed to be a bit more rotational. And with an iron, that's kind of you leave the club in the turf a little bit sooner, which is not ideal. And that was kind of the biggest change really with the irons. And the first week I saw him in April was Harbour Town, and I think tee to green I was about, I want to say I was 8th or something, like top 10. So I kind of really played well the first week, and I was last in putting, so that was obviously frustrating given that I know I can putt well. So I saw some really good signs that first week, and obviously the more I practice, the more you play, the more you get used to it.
I think it's always funny, you said like I played well, which for professional golfers I feel like means tee to green. Like if you could say I played well and putted poorly, but
I would say that, yeah.
So tell me about Justin Rose. I mean, you've played on teams with him. What he did last week was incredibly impressive. What do you see? Like, what do you make of a guy who's 45 years old? He's up to number 3 in the world now.
Yeah, I think he's a testament to the work he puts in. He's very diligent. He's got a great team around him. I think that's a real, important thing. The people that you work with is really important. That you push them as well as they push you, and I think Rosie's done that for a long time and had so much success with it. That's been what's so good to his career, and that's why he's had his success, because he puts in the work and it's the right work, and obviously he can take it to the course.
Is he kind of the father figure in those Ryder Cup rooms?
Yeah, kind of. I think Rory does a really good job of that though too. Being the guy that he is and the success he's had, he definitely holds that mantle as well. But yeah, Rosie's obviously a great guy to have in the team room. You do see a different side of him that week, and he wants to win as much as everyone else. Do
you guys keep winning the Ryder Cup because you guys care more, you have smarter stats guys, and you have nicer shampoo?
The shampoo's probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm obviously joking tongue in cheek when I say that, but because it's hindsight is 20/20, right? Like the winning captain is a genius, the losing captain gets hammered. Obviously, there is something special going on in your team room, but when they talk about the stats stuff, it's I would think that we have stats guys on our team as well. What do you make of this run you guys are on?
Yeah, I think it's the 1%, isn't it? I think at the end of the day, if every member in our team goes out there and shoots 2 over, we're probably not going to win many matches. So it is important that the guys on the team play well, and we've been playing really well in those periods. Obviously there's a different pressure, different feeling in those events. The team atmosphere is really important. I feel like we do a great job of that. The stats are really important, more than people think, in my opinion. Just the pairings and everything, and I think for me that is what makes Team Europe. We have a really good plan in place that can be passed on to captain, and obviously Luke has improved that, and whoever comes in next, whether it be Luke again or someone else, they have a nice blueprint to follow.
But you would be good if Luke came back for a third?
Nah.
He's done a terrible job.
Yeah, I mean he'd be great. Yeah, it'd be great, but I think everyone underestimates how much work it actually is for him. It's not just a case of picking the pairings on a Friday morning. It's way more than that. It's 18 months leading up to it that you got meetings and decisions, and so I think it probably is a lot. Yeah.
What went into the decision to not have your parents come?
They just didn't want to come. Yeah, they just didn't want to come. I mean, they experienced stuff in Whistling Straits, which was not less than ideal. That. Obviously everyone was built up to what Bethpage was going to be. It lived up to that and more.
You were surprised even?
What?
With how severe it was?
No, we weren't surprised, no, but I would say that, like, the standard person was like, oh, it's going to be terrible, but then, it got very personal about people's wives and children. I think that probably is a little bit more than what you would probably expect. You would expect abuse at the players themselves, but not probably family. So having said that, mum and dad thought about that, and, they didn't want to do that, as well as the following week they're both playing in the Dunhill, so, they didn't want to get in on a Tuesday and it all be tired for that. It was a really great week in itself, so I think a combination of things.
How good did it feel for you to play as well as you did in that environment? I know you're a football fan, and Roy Keane would not agree, but that was probably as close as you guys would get to a cold Tuesday night in Stoke. How good did it feel to play the golf that you did that week?
Yeah, that was a special week. Scottie made a great point early in the season about you work really hard for 10 minutes of glory or whatever he said, and that's one thing I took into that week, particularly when we're doing so well. You don't know when that's going to happen again, so you have to make the most of that. You have to enjoy that. You have to celebrate it, and to play as well as I did. I felt like I earned the right to enjoy that, and I felt like I earned the right to to compete as well as I did, and to come away with the more points, and the win overall was amazing.
You guys were the BBC Team of the Year.
Yes.
That's a pretty, explain that to our audience. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. My only thing closest is like the ESPYs, maybe. I don't know if that's a big deal over here. I feel like that is. Team of the Year, so it was a big deal. It was a big deal because we didn't necessarily think we were going to win that, so it was nice.
Has your shot tracking changed at all over the years, or are you still doing every single shot, every single round, including the casual rounds and the range sessions?
No, I never really did casual rounds. I only ever did, only tournament rounds. If you see me writing my book on a Tuesday, it's normally like notes for the golf course, but still keeping track of like my practice drills, practice games and stuff like that. But yeah, nothing's really changed. If anything, it's just improving all the time. Particularly with stuff now, I maybe don't have to record as much, or can make different notes. So it is always changing. You're always looking to improve things.
How do you allow yourself, or I guess avoid being too analytical, or maybe that's how you like when you're actually playing? Because I feel like all these teachers will say when you're out there, it's a game, you play it. How is it you had that balance in your career? Yeah,
it is hard. It's a hard balance because you're always working on things. You're always trying to get better. Someone told me you play golf, you don't play golf swing, and I feel like that's always quite good to when you're on the golf course, you're out there to play, to shoot a score. It doesn't really matter how you get it round. You just have to have the lowest score of anyone over the course of 4 days. So I'm trying to get probably more in that, and more focus on different shots, hitting it closer, putting better. Just get it round as opposed to trying to be a bit more perfect.
How do you feel about all these guys coming back so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously interesting. Brooks is obviously a good addition to the tour. Obviously, Patrick Reed's going to be a good addition to the tour, whenever that may be. These are guys that have had success for a long time, and they're great players. It's only going to add to the PGA Tour product. Obviously, a lot of guys are going to have issues that they've come back so quickly, and they earn a lot of money. With LIV and not really being penalised to come back, so that's obviously sore. But as Victor said the other day, I'm not wasting any sleep over it. I can't do anything. I could go into the PGA Tour CEO's office and kick and scream, but nothing's going to change. Why would I waste my time?
He'll say thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, why would I waste my time? So and that's not a dig at anyone on the tour. That's the way it is.
I think it's kind of
it's
a shift though. It's a little bit of a shift, I think, with the new leadership. It's like they're making decisions and the players,
and they're doing things, which is great. I take my hat off to the staff of the tour. They've done a great job so far, and
4 years almost since Brookline. Does it feel like yesterday? Does it feel like a lifetime ago?
Yeah, it feels less than 4 years. It feels like a year ago, really. It does, for whatever reason, it still feels pretty fresh. So it is pretty weird. It is pretty weird. Yeah.
How's married life? Everything going well?
Yep. Still married, so that's good.
That's good. Me too.
Yeah, we're doing great. We're all good. Playing plenty of golf together and stuff, and yeah, having a good time. So yeah, no complaints.
Awesome. Well, that's always good catching up with you, Matthew.
Thank you, Dan.
I appreciate you taking the time.
Pleasure as always. Good to see you, pal.
1 second.
Always lovely to catch up with a major champion. And I actually didn't even realize this, but because we were going to do another interview that was going to be on the show, it fell through. We actually have Fitzy and his caddy, who won the U.S. Open, are both on the same show. But you had something to say.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to you earlier today, and I think I said this isn't the worst dress golf tournament I've ever been to, but it's one of them.
I think it's the worst.
In the past 5 minutes, I've upgraded it to the worst. I've seen some of the most egregious executions here that I've seen in professional golf. I'm looking at a guy right now through the fence that has those hats that are like comically big, so you put your head in like foam inside of them.
It was funny for like 3 days.
Yeah, it's pink and it's sequence, and I don't know why that's here. I also see people walking around in like WM Phoenix Open basketball jerseys. Like,
the worst thing I saw, there's a hat going around that just says "Leave it in."
Leave it in. Yeah, I saw a guy with that too.
I think it's a joke on the flag, but it's a sophomoric joke. I would never make that joke.
That hat is the essence of the big hat conundrum that we're living through right now. Like that personifies or exemplifies that issue perfectly. Leave it in.
It's an epidemic. I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorites. This is the Zone Nicotine. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Underage sale prohibited. We are still in Phoenix. It's great here.
Yeah.
Which is known to bring the heat. It has not disappointed. This is the perfect spot to announce their brand new flavor of Zone Nicotine pouches, Jalapeno Lime. A burst of citrus meets a subtle, fiery kick. That is a pretty good description. Now available exclusively at select Phoenix area Circle K stores. While you're there, take advantage of the buy one, get four free promotion. So buy one, leave with 5. Offer valid January 26th through February 15th, 2026. Now, I said at the beginning of the show that I think this is the best interview we've ever done. And we've done a lot of interviews on this show, but I think this is the best one we've ever done. Billy Foster is someone that I could listen to talk about golf forever. It's not just the accent, it is the access. Oh, you like that?
Nice.
This guy has had a front row seat to, he was telling me that he hasn't missed an Open Championship caddying in 50 years.
50?
50 years. So he started caddying as like a 15-year-old. You can do the math.
Wow.
And he is a lifer, and he's been through it. I mean, he was on Thomas Bjorn's bag when he gagged away the Open Championship at Royal St. George's. He was obviously on Fitzy's bag when Fitzy won the U.S. Open in super dramatic fashion. He had a 1-week stint with Tiger Woods. He has kind of an incredible relationship with Tiger that he gets into. He caddy for Seve Ballesteros. So just a front row seat to greatness. Now we're going to leave you with this interview. A quick programming note: we will be back as normal in the studio on Monday before the three of us. You're coming to Pebble before we head up to my personal favorite place on the planet, 17-mile drive, Carmel, California. If Dan on Golf ever really explodes, which I believe that it will, I'll do it for like 10 years, and then I'm going to fuck off to Carmel.
You're going to join our friend Alan up there?
If I can get into MPCC and make that last, I will be done with this. All of our executives at our company are right here, and they're probably, they're not even listening.
You know who can make that happen, though? All of you, if you like and subscribe.
Yeah. Give us a like,
send us to Carmel.
So we'll see you guys back. We'll see you on Sunday for the watch along. We had the first watch along of the year. It was Farmers. It was awesome. And despite Justin Rose winning by 6, I think anyone who was in the watch along will tell you there's just nothing more fun. It's kind of our favorite thing to do. And as I've said a bunch of times, I would love to be super active reading the chat here. It's not really feasible, but it's totally different at the watch along. I'm in the doghouse. We got the chat going the whole time. So join us for the watch along on Sunday. But for now, we're signing off from Scottsdale. Enjoy this incredible interview with Billy Foster. All right, well, we're joined by a legendary caddy. And
have you got somebody else in mind? Who are you talking about?
Well, I was going to say, I think you're almost a little bit, I was going to say a dying breed, because I feel like everyone is bringing out their mates now to caddy. Like that's more of a growing trend, whereas you are like a lifer. Like
yes.
So how did you, for our American audience who maybe isn't as familiar, how did you get into this?
It was early 1980s. And there was a European Tour event came to my home golf club, Bingley, in West Yorkshire, in the north of the UK. I was a 15-year-old kid. There was no money in the game. You caddy for a guy for the week and they give you a dozen balls and say thanks very much. It was... And me and a few guys, juniors, we decided to follow a few tournaments around the UK. And we caddied a handful of tournaments for no money. And then my best friend said, let's go to Spain on a 6 weeks holiday, vacation for your American audience. Yeah, so I went down to caddying the Spanish Open and the Portuguese Open, etc. And I ended up caddying for a guy from Zimbabwe called Tony Johnston, who you'll probably be familiar with.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him from commentary. I think.
Hey, listen, and he finished 7th in the golf tournament. Now, if you finish 7th in a PGA Tour event, you probably get $300,000 or $400,000. But 7th back in 1983 was $1,000, and as a caddy, you got 5%. So I got $50 for the week, and as a caddy, you had to pay your own way to get to Portugal.
Which today would buy you about 2.5 Chipotles.
Something like that, yeah. So I got $50, but you have to pay your own way to get to Portugal. A caddy couldn't afford to get on an aeroplane, so I had to hitchhike and sleep on buses, sleep on trains. I slept in a bus one night, I slept in tents. There was no yardage books, you had to do your own yardages. There was no range balls. You weren't allowed in the clubhouse. There was no credit cards. So obviously no telephones or anything. So listen, it was a tough existence. If you said, I'll meet you at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, you lost contact with that guy for weeks until you just turned up on that spot you said you would be, you know.
Hope he's there. Hope he's there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very different place. And you know, and caddies, there might be 25 caddies get on a train and travel for 2 days from one side of Europe to the other, and with a crate full of beer and a set of playing cards and a guitar, and they were the best times, honestly. The camaraderie, and even though there was no money, it was way much more fun back then. It was great times, and yeah, I would not swap it for the world. In fact, I was in the caddy tent in America last year. I don't have to mention names, but there was one caddy says, you know what, I just flew in on my player's private jet last night, and the seat didn't recline fully. It only went 3/4 of the way back, and there was no Wi-Fi on the plane. I just went, shut it, will you? He understood. But hey, listen, I've just come back from New Zealand a couple of days ago, and I spent the night at Steve Williams' house talking of legendary caddies, and to see what he has down there, I mean, what a beautiful country that is. It was amazing.
So how did you link up with Seve?
I'd caddied for 8 years. I did a couple of years with Hugh Bioki from South Africa, and then I did 5 years with Gordon Brown Jr. Caddied in a couple of Ryder Cups with Gordon, who was a really good player. And in 1990, I decided I'd had enough of caddying because you couldn't make any money. And I accepted a job in Yorkshire where I live as an assistant professional myself. I was a decent player, but nothing special. But I took the job as an assistant pro. And I told Gordon Brown Jr., Gordon, I'm finishing caddying at the end of the season, so I'm giving you 6 weeks' notice to find another caddy. We went to Germany for the German Masters, and in the first 2 rounds, we got paired with Seve Ballesteros and David Feherty. And on the second hole of the tournament, Seve came up to me and says, what you doing next season? And I said, well, I'm finishing caddying because I can't make any money, and I've been offered a job back home as an assistant pro. He went, no, you're too young to retire, and I'm looking for a caddy, eh? I'm like, oh, okay. And I just walked off. I never gave him an answer. And when I was lying in bed in my hotel that night, I was thinking to myself, you are some idiot. Basically, your boyhood hero, who was the Tiger Woods of his generation in Europe, has basically asked you if you want the job, and you never gave him an answer. So I jumped out of bed, I ran to the golf course the next morning, and I wrote my name and address on a piece of paper. Obviously, there's no emails or telephones back then. And as I got to the golf course, he'd already teed off. So I followed him up the first hole, and as he came off the first green, I gave him the piece of paper and said, if you want to bring me out of retirement, you know where I am, you know where to find me. And 2 weeks later, funnily enough, I don't know if you can see it, but there's the letter right there from Severiano Ballesteros, basically saying, Billy, I've been watching your attitude as a caddy, and I like your attitude as a caddy. Now these are my conditions. You can't speak to the press. You can't argue on the golf course. You must do your own yardages. It were like 6 or 7, bang, take that, take that, take that. So you knew the boss was from a letter. And he basically said, give me an answer and happy Christmas. And that was it. So, yeah, I started 1991. That's how I got the job.
So, you know, obviously with these legends, so much gets written and said about them. And obviously, Seve, may he rest in peace. I know it's a big question. What was the man like?
He was, he'd be up there with the most evilest golfers to play against head to head, you know, in match play, or if you're coming down the stretch, trying to win, fighting against Seve Ballesteros. He was the ultimate warrior. It's like he played golf with boxing gloves on. You know, he wanted to just punch your head in. Yeah, he was never going to be a friend when it comes to winning a golf tournament. He was the ultimate warrior, and he was a hard man. You ask any of the guys, especially at Ryder Cups, you know, in the 80s and 90s, what a hard man to play against he was, and it was win at all costs, and he would stand over you and hover over you, but you would feel the pressure breathing down your neck on every shot you hit, you know.
After Seve came who?
I worked for Darren Clark for a decade.
And then there was Thomas Bjorn. And the reason I wanted to ask, you were on the bag at Royal St. George's, am I correct?
Oh, thanks for reminding me. It's 20 years this time, and I'm just getting over it.
We had Thomas on the show recently, and I didn't have the heart really to bring it up. But, you know, that was one of, you know, for our, you know, younger audience or American audience, if you guys don't know about Thomas Bjorn at Royal St. George's, go watch the video on YouTube. He's winning the Open. I guess I'll let you decide describe that moment and sort of what a caddy says in that moment, or what they don't say.
Well, listen, people will never remember this, but in the first round, he hit it in a bunker on the 17th hole, and he left it in the bunker and hit the sand in anger, and then he chops it out, and he finished off the hole. And as we're walking off the green, he turned and said to me, "Can you believe I did that?" I went, "Can I believe you did what?" He said, "Made a double bogey there." I said, "Well, Thomas," I said, "you didn't actually, because you hit the sand in anger. It's a 2-shot penalty, so it's actually an 8. And Tom Lehman, who was playing, we came across, says, "Yeah, Billy, it's a 2-shot penalty." So I actually caddied for somebody who hit less shots than anybody else in the Open Championship.
Wait, so he left the ball in the bunker and then hit the sand while the ball was still in the bunker?
Correct. 2-shot penalty. So he actually made an 8. And he still had a 3-shot lead playing the 15th hole on the last round. And yeah, I'd been out and walked the pins that morning, and I looked at the 16th pin, and it was like 5 feet right of the pin. It was an elephant's graveyard, or you'd half a Great Britain to the left, you know. So obviously you're saying to him, just stay at the TV tower, middle of the green, nowhere else, 30 feet. 2-putt and get out of there, you know. It was a 6-iron, just middle of the green, quite a straightforward shot, really. And as he hit it, you know, I knew it set off straight at the flag. I knew where it was going because I'd been out and looked at the pins that morning, and I just thought, that's dead. And it was basically just splash it out 15 feet past the hole and make your bogey and still have a 2-shot lead, you know. And he duffed it out, rolled back to his feet, chopped it out, rolled back to his feet, and then it finished 6 inches in his footprint. And, you know, he basically dropped the claret jug right there and then. And he bogeyed 17, and he lost the Open by a shot. I thought about that moment every day for 6 months, because I've been to every Open Championship since I was a 9-year-old boy. So it's 50 years. I've never missed an Open in 50 years, and it's the one trophy you ever want to win. And it was proper heartbreaking for me, because it's the one tournament you desperately wanted to win as a caddy. So yeah.
And when you're walking up 17, you're walking up 18, is it dead silent?
Oh no, not at all. I mean, you're still in the game. You know, it's you're still tied for the lead. You know, and you're trying to, you know, dust yourself down, get on with it. Don't worry about it. Let's move on. And you know, it just didn't happen. You know, and then yeah, it was tough to stomach that one. You know, and obviously Lee Westwood 3-putted the last at Turnberry to lose out by a shot to the Stuart Sink Tom Watson playoff. And there's been 3 or 4 Masters that
you were
got
also
away.
weren't you on the bag 08 US Open at Torrey Pines as well?
No, I started with Lee in 09. So yeah, but
okay.
I mean, Lee could have won 6 majors. He was that good.
So good that he, you know, came up because you're going back to Westy's bag if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
I saw a
you
report.
might be mistaken, Dan, because I was meant to fly to Saudi Arabia yesterday, but he's got a wrist injury, so he's out for a month at best. But if it needs surgery, my live career will be over before it started. So we'll see what happens. Watch this space. I don't know. So let's just hope it's not too severe, but we'll see.
But you were on his bag when he got to number 1 in the world.
And he got to number 1 in the world, yeah.
But that's still, I mean, I know because you caddy for Seve, didn't win a major with Seve. You caddy for Bjorn, didn't win a major with Bjorn. You caddy for Clark, didn't. Did the number 1 in the world, did that feel like an accomplishment, or did you still just really want that trophy?
No. I mean, listen, the player's got to number 1 in the world through his consistency and how brilliantly he was tee to green, and listen, it's something that it'd be in the back of your mind. You caddy for the guy that got to number 1 in the world, but let's face it, nobody remembers runners up or who finished second in majors. It's all about winning major golf championships, and players' careers are defined by winning major championships. Let's face it, And some people will say, well, they don't count them as a fantastic player unless they've won multiple majors, But yeah, it's disappointing for Lee that he never won a major championship because he was that good a player. I think he'd 9 or 10 top 3 finishes in major championships without winning one, So, but what a fantastic golfer.
You had a week caddying for a guy who won 15 major championships. So 2004, you got to caddy for Tiger. Tell me how that came about, and tell me if I think you told me this story once before, but what you remember from that week and from that experience in caddying for Tiger in 2004, which is kind of at the height of Tiger mania.
Yeah, it was 2005. It was the President's Cup, and we were on the range in Akron, Ohio, at the Bridgestone tournament. And Tiger came up to Darren Clark, who I was working for, and had a chat and walked away. And a couple of minutes later, Clarky turned to me and he said, "Do you know what that was all about?" I went, "No, what?" He says, "Well, Tiger's just come up to me and said that Steve Williams, his wife's having a baby. He's taken a couple of weeks off, and he's asked me if it's all right to... He's asked Darren if it's all right if he asked me to work for him." I went, "Really?" He says, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I don't know." And Lee Westwood was hitting balls 5 yards to the side of Clarky and said, "Billy, if you don't work for him, I will." And I went, "Yeah, good point, Westy, good point." Yeah, so I went up and said, "Yeah, it'd be great to caddy for you, Tiger." And it was funny, actually, because a few weeks later, I understood that a few of the American caddies had complained to Tiger, saying, "Hey, listen, we don't want a Euro in our locker room, this and that." And I went to Tiger and I said, "Look, Tiger," I said, "if it's going to cause you..." Because obviously I've caddied in that many Ryder Cups, it's like I'm seen as the opposition, And I said, "Tiger, if it's going to cause you any problems, I'm quite happy to step aside." He says, "F them, Billy, you're caddying me." I went, "All right, fair enough." But yeah, it was an absolute gentleman, Tiger, to caddy for. His manners were impeccable. It was please and thank you for everything. And obviously, as a golfer, he's the best that ever lived, mate. I mean, if he'd have stayed with Butch Harmon and stayed injury-free, he'd have won 25 to 30 majors, in my opinion.
Wasn't there a story, though? I remember you told me the story about, you said something to him about not playing as much or kind of understanding the world he lived.
Yeah, listen, we came out of the locker room and I walked towards the first tee, and it was probably 200 yards deep, 200 yards long, 10 deep either side, and the screaming and shout, and it's hysterical, "Tiger, Tiger, Tiger." And I'm like, "Oh my God, get me out of here." My ears were bleeding. It was that loud, and Tiger's battling his way through the crowd. He's got pen marks all over his shirt, hats on sideways. You can see he's getting beat up walking through the crowd. And as you walk back to the first tee at the golf course in Washington, where it was, Robert Trent Jones, the first tee was back in the trees on its own, nobody else there. And I was stood in the middle of the tee on my own, and Tiger came up onto the tee. I said, "You know what, Tiger, I just want to tell you something." I said, "That reminds me of working for Seve." And they're the only two people of that aura of a rounder golfer. The only two people I've met in my career in 40 odd years that I would say the order around Seve and the order around Tiger they're the only two guys that get that. And I just turned to him, I said, look, Tiger, I says, I know what you're going through. I said, you might be the best golfer that ever plays this game. You might have any woman in the world you want, and you might be a billionaire, but I won't swap your lives. And he said, thanks for that, Billy. At least somebody understands what I go through. And too right, I do, yeah. It's a very difficult life being Tiger. A fantastic player, but, you know, it comes with its limitations of what you can do in life. It must be difficult.
I have goosebumps hearing that. I also have goosebumps thinking about Brookline and about you winning with Fitzy. You know, it's such a different experience for you because the guys you've mentioned, Fitzy is from a totally different generation. I mean, he's much, much, much younger than any of those guys were. And you got on his bag, you know, quite a few years, I think, before he won the U.S. Open. Yeah. What was it like kind of adjusting to caddying for, you know, he was a kid at that point?
Yeah, listen, it was, I'd finished with Westy at the back end of 2018, and a week later I got a call off Matt. You know, and at that stage I was thinking, you know what, my caddying career's winding down a little bit. And you're sort of thinking of a couple of jobs you'd be interested in. And Matt was in my mind of one of those lads that you thought, you know what, be a nice, steady player, good player in Europe, might make a Ryder Cup team. You know, he didn't have his PGA Tour card. And you're thinking, you know, he'll probably win a tournament or two in Europe every year. Maybe a nice little job, you know. And he turned into a serious player, like, and, you know, I'm very impressed. His work ethic is second to nobody's. As soon as I started working for him, I said, this is Bernard Langer's love child. You know, he's like, his work ethic is incredible. Like, it's well documented about all the stats he keeps and everything, but he earns his stripes and he earns everything he gets, Matt. He's the ultimate pro. And listen, I had 6 great years with him and won big tournaments, won the Dubai tournament at the end of the year in Dubai, Hilton Head, and obviously the US Open. And, you know, he won 5, 6, 7 tournaments, whatever it was, and a couple of Ryder Cups. So it was, got to number 6 in the world. It was a lot of good times. And unfortunately, you know, it's caddying and golfers are like, it's like football management. You know, if your team's not playing great and you're not getting the results, you know, something's got to give. And unfortunately, you know, you find yourself going through the motions a little bit. And it goes without saying, it needs a shake-up and needs a bit of freshness. And unfortunately, that's what happened. But, you know, I'm sure Matt will challenge and maybe win other majors. He's a fantastic golfer, and you know, I respect him immensely.
What was that experience like on 18? Because obviously Matt's trying to win his first major, but you're trying to win your first major, and you've been doing it a lot longer than Matt. And it was tense, man. It was Scottie was already in the clubhouse. You're playing with Zalatoris, you know, and he didn't make it easy on himself on that 18th hole.
Hey, listen, it's a funny story because at the start of the week, it was like I'd walked the golf course on the Monday, and I got to the 18th hole, and I was doing my yardages and, you know, getting the middle of the fairway and the width of the fairway, etc. And I decided in my mind the best tee shot was between 270 to 280 yards. It was the widest bit of the fairway. Obviously, the bunkers came in on the left and the rough came in on the right towards 290, 300 yards. So I was writing in my book at the time, tee shot 270, 280. And as I was writing it, Justin Rose came at the side of me. He said, what do you see here, Billy? And I said, well, I like a 3-wood up here, mate, to this area. He says, yeah, that's the play up here. I went, that'll do for me, Rosie. You know, obviously a great player and won the US Open. Anyway, Matt played in the afternoon, and as we got to the 18th tee, he pulled out the driver, and I said, Matt, I like a 3-wood up here, you know, 270 to 280 yards. And no, I know what you're saying, but I like driver. And he hit driver. And it finished through the fairway in the rough, and he chopped it out and chipped on and made a bogey. And I've never done this before. I said, Matt, I said, let's go back to the tee. I want you to hit another 6 tee shots, hit 3 drivers and 3 3-woods, and then tell me what you think. So I stayed up the fairway. He went back. He hit his 3 3-woods and 3 drivers, but he scattered them around a little bit, so there was no real conclusive evidence of what was best. And I just said, what do you think now? He said, no, I know what you're saying, but driver's the best club in my bag. I like driver up here, and he's obviously had success at the US Amateur, winning the round there. So I went, okay. I said, so when it comes to Thursday and we stand on this tee, I don't want any of this hindsight stuff, you know. I says, I don't want you hitting it in the rough up there and say, why we're up here, what we're doing back there. He said, no, I'll hold my hands up. I'm happy in drive. I went, okay, I'll keep quiet. So obviously he played the first 3 rounds, driver, and he'd gone bogey, par, bogey. And we got to the 18th tee in the last round with the 1-shot lead, and I just thought, I've seen this horror movie too many times. I said, Matt, it's a 3-wood up here, widest bit of the fairway, 275 yards, it's perfect. It'll only leave you a 9-iron, that's all it is. It's a 3-wood. He went, all right, Billy, and he pulled the 3-wood, and of course he hooked it in the bunker, and as we're walking off the tee, I'm punching myself in the face thinking, you're just a jinx. Why didn't you shut up and let him hit driver? You know, it's like... But he stopped 30 yards off the tee and he turned round. I thought, here we go, he's going to start moaning, oh, what we're doing here. But he actually turned round and he said, Billy, he said, that were the right club. I went, all right, thanks for that, Matt. And we kept walking. I just thought, if that had been like a Thomas Bjorn or a Sergio or something, there'd have been a mound there with my crucifix on the top of it. Billy was buried here, you know. But we got to the bunker and my heart sank when I saw the ball under the island. I just thought it was... I thought it was dead. I thought we were going to have to chip it out, and Zalatoris was in the perfect position. But when we got to the bunker, it was a little bit further left than I thought. So again, I've done something else I'd never done. I sort of like plumb bobbed a 5-iron over the top of the ball, a foot left of the bank, and I picked a target at the back of the green. I just said, you see the floodlight in the tree at the back of the green? I said, if you hit it on that as hard as you can, this bank's not in play. And it was a perfect number. It was a 9-iron all day long. The club wasn't an issue, but the worst part of Fitz's game that year was his fairway bunker play. He kept hitting them fat. But because he had to cut it, he got the heel up, and I was walking away, and I turned around, he hit it already. And you just know, as when you've caddied so long, when he hit it and you look up, you're just like, you beautiful thing. You just know he'd flushed it. But the target was, I mean, all he could get was left edge of the green, and the pin was on the right. So he actually cut that shot probably 15 yards and to like 18, 20 feet behind the hole. And I reckon that was probably the PGA shot of the season. I don't know if it got voted it, but it should have done. It was an amazing golf shot. And as Zalatoris is over his putt to take it to a playoff, all I could say to Fitz was, get your mind ready for a playoff. Just expecting to hole it. Get your mind ready for a playoff. And obviously you were right behind the putt, and I'm just listening to the crowd because I'm side onto it. And as the noise levels get louder and louder, you just think he's hauled it. And I've probably watched that putt 10 or 12 times since, and a foot short, it still can't miss. I can't believe it missed. And as you look across and the ball's still above ground, that's when I pull my hat down, my head in my hands, and all those Thomas Bjorn in the bunker and Dan and Clark shanking it at Troon when he could have won, and Lee Westwood the multiple times he could have won majors just floated into the sky. And it was like there was no real shouting and get in there. All that was like just pure and utter relief that the monkey was off your back, that you finally caddied for somebody that won a major. So it was very, very special.
It was beyond special. My last question, we could be here all day, but I don't want to keep too much of your time.
I've all day. Don't worry about
it. you got up close and personal with Scottie last year. So you caddied for Colin Morikawa at Port Rush, and he was grouped with Scottie for the first 2 days. And what we've seen from Scottie these last 4 years has been remarkable. What was your impression of him those first 2 days?
Well, actually, we've played with Scottie a lot the last couple of years. Even with Fitz, played with him quite often. Listen, it's Tiger-esque. If you'd ask me if he's Tiger Woods, probably not right now, but the way he's going, who knows what we're going to be saying in 5 years' time. It's incredible. But there's one thing I'll say about Scottie Scheffler. The consistency, to say he's breakdancing when he hits it, he is, in the 40-odd years I've caddied, big statement, his distance control is the best I've ever seen.
Better than you saying with the iron, it just always pin high.
His distance control is the best I've ever seen. Is he the best golfer? Maybe not, but his distance control. Lee Westwood, when he got to number 1 in the world, bearing in mind Lee wasn't a great putter. as Scottie wasn't until, Phil Kenyon has done great work with. But, to be that good when you're not, and win that often when you're not putting your best, it just goes to show how good he is. And Lee Westwood's distance control back in the 2010, 2012 period, 2000 to probably 2015, Lee Westwood's distance control was incredible. And Scottie's is as good, if not better. He's an amazing player. And his chipping's incredible as well. He chips in a couple of times every week as well. If he misses a green, he chips in.
It's a pretty good formula.
Yeah,
Well, Billy,
yeah.
I just want to thank you for allowing me to pick your brain for a little bit.
No
you
problem.
are a legend of the game, and we really appreciate the time. And
Thank
I
you
hope
very
to
much.
see you out there soon. I don't know if it'll be a live event or a major, but I hope to see you out there soon.
Yeah, find me a job, will you?
I can send.
I'm not done
I'll
yet.
send out
I'll be
the
back out at some stage.
I know you will.
I just
You
need to.
keep saying-
I've just had a month in New Zealand on the beach, and my only worry was that somebody might harpoon me instead of a shark. So I need to lose a bit of weight this next month and get myself back out there fit and enjoying what I've always done. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if there's one thread throughout this, it's that I thought my caddy career was over. There's another act left in there.
Yeah, I'll be back. As Schwarzenegger saying, I'll be back.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Billy.
Cheers, Dan. Pleasure, mate.